years. Okay, so don't. But when I was in high school, yeah, at one point in my life I was in high school. When I was in high school, there was, a bunch of different kids, and there was like weightlifting classes, right? Like weightlifting events, and there was guys that would just, go weightlifting every day after school. And I remember being in school, and there was this guy that was smaller than I was, like in every way possible. His arms were shorter, his shoulders were thinner, his legs were smaller, everything. In every way possible, he was smaller than me, but he was stronger than me. And I was like, what is the problem here? This guy is strong. And back at my school, they had things like Superman, like achievement, like if you lifted so many weights, like bench press, and if you did like so many squats, and if you did this and that, and if you put them together, you make Superman status. Or you make Iron Man status, or you make, whatever. So this guy was ridiculous. This guy was like thin, small, but he was strong. And I said to myself, I am not going to be showed up by this little guy, right? So then I was like, I am going to go and lift weights. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go after school every day, and I'm going to lift weights. And meanwhile, during this time, my older brother, Carlos, he was at LABI, and he was lifting too. So, I'm all riled up. I got my older brother there, and then this person's like stronger than me, and I'm like, this is not supposed to happen, And so I go to school, and every day after school, I begin to lift weights. I do chest, and I didn't really do leg. My legs were like the worst part of me. But I did have a strong chest, and my waist was a lot better than what it is now. But so I was lifting weights. And I would push it. I would go every day and push to my max. Sometimes I'd have a spotter, sometimes I didn't. I remember one time that I was trying to, max out, and I couldn't get it up, and it came back down on my chest, and it leaned to the side, and when the plates fell off one side, and then it just flung back over to the other side, and like caused like this huge noise, and I was like, oh no. And nobody was in there, so I like cleaned it up as soon as the coach came in. Oh man, it was so scary. But that's what happens when you like try to do it on your own. You don't have a spotter. And so I was working out, and one day, I remember my brother told me, older brother, he'd been working out, he's like, yeah, I do about 250, right? And so I'm like, that's my goal. That's my goal. That's what I'm going to do. So I remember one day, I was like, all right, man, this is so close to 250, this is 245. Let me add on 5 more pounds. I can do it. So I just threw all those weights, and I'm like, and I did it. And you know what I did? Talk to my brother. What, bro? You do 250, I do 250. What's up now, And he's like, I don't even do that anymore now. I'm on something else, And I'm like, dang it, But that's what I go to. But my expectation of this guy that was smaller than me was for him to be weaker than me. I expected weakness from smallness and strongness from bigness, which I thought I would have. And I expected strength from olderness, my older brother, and I also expected that I could beat him because I felt I was stronger than him. So I had this expectation that I had to change because I expected it to be different. Now, how many know expectations can be a little, bad? It can be trouble. If we expect things too much and expect things to be a certain way, it could be trouble. It could be trouble. And so, when I was thinking about, my time of lifting weights and expectations, one of the guys that really came to mind that that I thought maybe could really identify with the expectations was Samson. That's right, I compared myself to Samson. No, Samson was a man that was great. He was strong. He was mighty. We know the story of Samson. But Samson had to go through his own set of expectations. It wasn't a big brother, and it wasn't a young guy that was Superman status that was stronger than him. He had his own set of expectations. So let's read. Let's go to Judges 13, verses 3 through 5. And I'm going to go ahead and read. And this is the NIV version. And it says, the angel of the Lord appeared to her. This is Samson's mother. And said, you are sterile and childless, but you are going to conceive and have a son. Now see to it that you drink no wine or other fermented drink, and that you do not eat anything unclean, because you will conceive and give birth to a son. No razor must be used on his head, because the boy is to be a Nazarite, set apart to God from birth. And he will begin the deliverance of Israel from the hand of the Philistines. Before this time, Israel was enslaved to the Philistines. Now, here in America, we really can't fathom that. You know, we can't grip that in our heads. To be enslaved to another country. America, enslaved to another country. That's never going to happen. That's impossible. You know? That's how patriotic we are here. But the Israelites were enslaved to the Philistines. And there was at that time, different judges that would come forth. And God had mandated at this specific time to Samson's mother that she was going to have a son. So Samson, from birth, was set apart. From birth, was set apart. Was put aside. And even his birth was an ordeal. He was born to a woman that couldn't have children. Now, I don't know about you, but when a couple that can't have kids is blessed with the miracle of a child, something happens in that family. The parents become extra careful with that child. I don't know if you know anybody like that that's had the miracle of having a child when they weren't able to. They become extra careful. They almost hover over the kid, you know? Like, public school, homeschool, public school, homeschool. I'm homeschooling because if I lose this one, I'm probably not going to get another one. You know? And so they're extra careful. They're extra sensitive with their child. And this was Samson. Samson was the son of a woman that couldn't have children. So she loved him to pieces, man. She, gave him little, like, big old kisses in front of all his friends and stuff, you know? Like, that's how it was. And not only that, but Samson's parents were also revealed the news through an angel of God. Now, could you imagine that? Now, I guess the correlation kind of would be like, a king that was having a son that's going to be the predecessor to the king. The prince that just got married, what's his name? Prince William, and he's the successor to the throne in England, right? And so he has all this expectancy upon his life because he's going to be the next king. That's a lot to deal with. That's heavy weight, man. You know? And not only that, at this particular moment, in this particular situation, an angel was the one that came to his mother to let her know that he was going to be a deliverer of Israel. You are responsible for the delivery of an entire country. That's a lot of weight resting on your shoulders that he had since birth. Now, one thing I do want to say about this story, though, that I find a little odd, is that how am I supposed to take a man of God serious when he has really long hair? Can you imagine? Have y'all seen that? It's like a beer commercial, and this guy's trying to make things right. And there's a person there getting their beer, and they're trying to carry it. And then the guy thinks it's a girl, and he's like, "Hey, can I help you?" And she's like, and the person turns around, and it's a guy. He's like, "Get out of my face," and walks off because he got that long hair, I'm just like, how do I take Samson serious when he has extra long hair? Like if I looked at him from behind and be like, "Who's that girl?" And then he turns around and it's Samson, he can kick my butt, But Samson's expectations from birth were almost unbelievable. From birth, he was set apart. He was different. He was unique and special for the